up here in the Zo Loft and get your head right.
All right. What's up, head right homies? Welcome to the Zo Loft, your head right hangout. Hey, I hope your week is off to a groovy start. You know, as groovy as it was since we last spoke in Zo Loft.
Right.
Hey, things can change really fast, man. But if they did change, I hope that just means that it got even groovier for you. All right. So, hey, you know, if you're watching on the YouTubes or the, you know the drill, the Facebooks or my website, you know, hit them like buttons, you know, work them things so they smoke and all that sort of stuff. The real love button is the share button.
Yes.
So, you know, maybe, like I said, maybe we'll glitch the algorithm. Maybe our videos, because people be saying that, you know, if you're make sure you hit the like button and all that sort of stuff. I reckon people that it doesn't work. For some people, it just doesn't work, and we'll get into a little bit of that, you know, as to why. But, you know, for those of you who are here, once again, please don't think I'm like trying to be neglectful or anything like that, because I don't monitor chat as closely. Just know that I'm very grateful that you're here. And I do check out them comments like afterwards, but I try, you know, I derail really easier. So I'm just trying to stay on track, you know what I'm saying? You know, my multitasking is meant for the drums, and sometimes I'm not even very good at that. I'm working on it. But at any rate, before we get into, well, these are the things that we're going to try to get to. Let's see if we can get to, you know, some important stuff other than like, you know, I guess what I propose to talk about first. We're going to try to get to Ketanji Brown Jackson compares Black Americans to disabled people while defending redistricting laws that give special treatment to blacks. Three Eye Atlas is a Manhattan-sized alien ship hurtling towards Earth. Does the sale of Dominion voting system mean a transformation? Depends on who's asking. I love Hitler. Leaked message exposed young Republicans' racist chat. Hollywood denounces AI-generated actress Tilly Norwood amid entertainment industry decline. Y'all always trying to blame something. President Trump revokes $700 million in payment to drug leader after strike on Colombian ship. Issues ultimatum. All right. And before we get into that, I want to answer the question of, Zo, where'd you go? Some people on Facebook have wondered where I've been. So I figured in one shot, because you know, when people ask that, I just kind of give the response, it's a long story. And I've been asked that. I guess I would say I get asked it a lot, but then again, I'm not seen a lot. So it's not like I get relatively I get asked that question a lot, considering how marginalized my reach has been. And the other thing that we will get to is my taboo take on Charlie Kirk. I know that we're not supposed to say anything negative about Charlie Kirk, and I'm not meaning to say anything negative about Charlie Kirk. But if anybody is curious, I don't know, maybe there's some people might be curious about what I think of all this. I will go ahead and give my uncandid take on it. So, to where I've been. Okay, y'all, shadow banning. Shadow banning is a real thing. Shadow banning's been a real thing for a while, and it was happening to me before there was even a term for it. As far back as 2011, my content was being, I guess the term for it is throttled, or was being tampered with. Now, I would try to tell people about that, warn people to say, dude, they're messing with our numbers. And people would just tell me, oh, it's because you're not using the right keywords or, you know, SEOs and, you know, search engine optimization and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, it's not that. They're messing with our content. Long story short, as far as that goes, nobody really seemed to care about it until it started happening to them. And when I was warning about it, and it happened to Trump, and then really people really started to take it seriously. But these are the same people who'd be saying, you know, the Second Amendment protects the First Amendment. I'm like, no, it doesn't. The Second Amendment does not protect the First Amendment. If anything, the First Amendment is being used to erode the Second Amendment. And Second Amendment has not stopped people from getting their content suppressed and their word out there. So at any rate, and that's the other thing too, y'all, is because I would be letting, because I would check people on that. That stuff starts to get really unpopular too. But I'm gonna say it like it is. I'm not one of these people who's looking to pander like a lot of these, mainstream conservative pundits and all that sort of stuff. Look, man, I ain't looking to pander to anybody. I'm not looking to stroke anybody's pride. I'm not looking to stroke your anger. While I get more rich and famous and all you do is just get more frustrated about what liberals are doing. I don't do that. All right. And I'm gonna call it the way I see it. It's like, and I'm gonna tell you what I honestly think. Hey, maybe what I honestly think may not be the truth, according to some people. But this is the deal, man. I'm not looking to pander or patronize people. And that becomes, frankly, it becomes very unpopular. I'm not one of these, who supports the whole mother lob and come and take it and all that sort of stuff. Y'all, they did come and take it. They did. and the guns didn't stop it. All right. I'm one of those people, who's like, hey, look, y'all keep trying to talk about how dumb Joe Biden is. He's this and he's that and he's feeble-minded and all that sort of stuff. This dude was able to steal the White House from Donald Trump. He stole it from him right under his freaking nose. Trump's going to come in and drain the swamp and Trump's going to make Mexico pay for the border wall. No, the Democrats got Trump to pay for people getting the COVID shot. That's what happened. All right. So because I'm not all, hey, a big cheerleader for Trump. Look, I don't mind Trump. I voted for Trump. I'd take him over Biden any day. But I'm not, like I said, because I'm not one to get on this train and stroke people's ego and stuff like that. It's like, look, they had no more use for me. That's what happened. The shadow banning was a big factor. Yeah, it's a big factor. But the problem is that it was so easy. It was so easy for people to just, oh, Zoe's gone. Oh, whatever. And that's pretty much what happened. And like I said, because of, me calling things like I see it, or also things like, I guess I wasn't, at the end of the day, I wasn't token enough. Which I think people kind of had to find that out. I was like, man, you're not really. I said, no, heck no, man. I'm not here to make apologies for you or defend some of these ideas that you may have. And I'm trying to tell you, if you're not careful, you're going to let the Democrats shape you into what they've been telling people. And that's what's happened to the Republican Party. They're becoming more and more what the Democrats have hammered at. The Republicans are far away from their roots. Way off. Way the crap off the mainstream Republican Party. It's not even a party I really want to identify with. I'm still Republican. I'm still conservative. But whatever this has become, this freaking mutation, this abomination of whatever the Republican Party is today, I don't really have a place at the table. In a way, I don't mind. So in terms of like me being invisible as I was, it's one thing, like I said, the left-wing gatekeepers, with their algorithms, basically tossed me in a ditch. But the so-called conservatives, they passed by and they threw dirt on me and left me to be forgotten. Like, say, for instance, I used to be on, PJTV, and I had they had their YouTube channel there. And went and unlisted all. One of the reasons why you don't see the Zo Nation videos anymore is because they're all unlisted. Mm-hmm. And then I think, I don't know when it happened. I don't know if it happened when PJTV had it, or I think it was either Hot Air or Town Hall. They're affiliated, Hot Air and Town Hall. But they took over the channel. And when they took over the channel, all my video lists, the Zo Nation videos that were on there, they unlisted all of them, the playlist for them. So they made it to where people couldn't see my videos, anymore, unless you really knew where to look. You had to, I guess, if they're unlisted, you gotta know about the show, which means that it makes them, they're not discoverable. Only if you knew who I was and you knew what to type in, like Zo Nation, could you find those videos. But in terms of growing a new audience, they killed that because they enlisted my videos. And now the channel is owned by, I think, Keep and Bear Arms or something like that. Yeah. So they have the channel now, and they've kept the videos unlisted. So I've been sabotaged by my own. Right? I got stabbed in the back, by others in conservative media. Breitbart. I used to write for Breitbart, and then after Breitbart had passed away, they stabbed me in the back too. It's like they know who I am, and they basically gave their platform over to a bunch of racists. That's who when you go and you read their comments, racist all day. Whole bunch of racists in there. And when my wife came in to call them out and say, hey, can you kind of, and I'm not really paraphrasing here, my wife wasn't being contentious, just like, look, we're trying to be able to make the case, like to my in-laws and stuff like that we're not racist. and this kind of stuff doesn't help. They banned my wife from Breitbart. Did anybody come to our defense? No. I know freaking John Nolte. Did John Nolte say anything? No. Just banned her. These are people that we've broken bread with, right? So we got exiled. And did the so-called conservative movement, come to our defense? No.
Nope.
Left us for career dead, y'all. That's what happened to us. So I'd be telling people that I know who know Trump. It's like, look, these are the things that Trump is doing and that his whole movement is doing that's going to sabotage him and make these things very complicated for them in the culture. You might get your political victory, but it ain't going to be sustainable. You're going to have a lot of problems in the culture. It's going to create a lot of tension, chaos. It's going to get bad. Simple things that you can fix. Simple things. And they won't do it. They won't do it.
Like what?
Say, for instance, the Confederate memorials, Confederate battle flag. Comparing, let me just give you, we'll cover these things. The Confederate sentiments, calling Democrats communists, calling them socialists.
Guilty.
Calling them radicals. These things will do you a disservice. You will only hurt yourselves. You will not hurt the Democrats. You will only help them. I tried to tell people who know Trump, people who I thought were my friends, and they alienated me. And I was like, dude, I'm not trying to sabotage anything. I'm trying to keep y'all from sabotaging yourselves. Okay? If y'all you don't hurt, let's start with the easy ones. You don't hurt Democrats by calling them communist. You don't hurt them by calling y'all, it's a compliment for them. It's fashionable. All right? Calling them communist and socialist does not hurt them. Basically what you're saying is, you mean there's something worse than being a Democrat? There's something worse than that? It's bad enough to just be a Democrat. All right, but you calling them communists and socialists, y'all, you're just helping to make them fashionable in the culture. And the thing is with the Republicans, and I try to tell them this, y'all don't have a freaking selling point. You can't compete. You could, but you don't. You can't compete with the liberals in the culture. You can't. You think that you're out there winning because people they're waking up. Y'all, the selling point for Republicans is they gotta wait for Democrats to make things so freaking bad. They gotta wait for them to make things so bad that people consider an alternative. And because I've been warning people, it's like, well, that's just an unpopular opinion. But the mainstream way of thinking about things with the Republican Party is costing y'all greatly, more than it should. It's costing us. Right? And because I'm letting them know, it's like, dude, that strategy ain't working. Calling them communists ain't working. They take it as a compliment. It's fashionable. And it just leads the idea to believe that there's something worse than Democrats. Being a Democrat is bad enough. Calling them socialists, you're not helping. All right? It doesn't help to call them socialists. Call them Democrats. Call them what they are. They're Democrats. That's bad enough. When you got a whole bunch of Republicans out there talking about, I remember when the Democrats used to be reasonable. So like when they were bombing freaking churches? Right? Those people, the Democrats that founded the KKK, that's when they were reasonable to you?
Yeah.
It's like I hear Republicans saying stuff like this, saying stuff like this all the time. It's like, dude, you do yourself a disservice. The Democrats who were interning the Japanese? Yeah, that was Democrats who were doing that, by the way. But no, you got Republicans out there, they just take it as, another opportunity to boast in American pride. It's like, dude, you might want to take an opportunity to let people know that was Democrats who were interning the Japanese. Dude, they did that. That was a Democrat administration. All right, but no. Republicans get so caught up with American pride And they forget that the word says pride goes before destruction, but then again, they really don't care about the word of God. Their fidelity and their affinity is for the Constitution over the scriptures, right? Just like you have, like, what was it, James O'Keefe out there with his, Shame the Devil, and he's posing with, General Michael Flynn? Oh, the conservatives, they love Michael Flynn. They love that guy, right? Michael Flynn, the guy says, you need to put the Bible aside and you need to read the Constitution. Any real Christian who was there should have got up and walked out.
Yeah, because he said it in churches while he was on tour in churches.
Come on now. This is what the so-called Republicans go for. But they think they're really Christians because they love Charlie Kirk. We'll get to that in a minute. Right? But so these things that I've been warning people about, they don't want to say, dude, you've been following this mainstream idea of thinking and it doesn't help. It's been hurting you. Oh, we don't want to hear that. No. Right? You just go ahead and you stay shadow banned, Zo, and you know what? We're not going to really do anything to help get you out. You just stay in exile. Right? Because we want to go this route. We want to do what our pride dictates. Radicals. Republicans keep calling Democrats radicals. They're not freaking radicals. You do yourself a disservice by calling them radicals. I hear it all. Radical this, these radical leftists, these radical Democrats. You have given the Democrats our distinction. The Republican Party was founded by radicals. And it was stated, it was even stated in the convention that we are radical Republicans. Radical in the point of we are trying to get back to the roots. The Word of God tells us to be radical. That's what the Word of God says. The word radical, coming from I think the Vulgate, radicati. It just means root. That's what it means. But the Democrats have uprooted the Republican Party. The Republican Party lost their roots a long time ago. They've been uprooted. Yeah, they're not radical anymore. They gave that distinction to the Democrats, who are rooted in nothing. They're rooted in absolutely nothing. But you want to call them radicals. To be a radical, it means to be rooted and to be stable. Do Democrats look like they're rooted and stable in anything to you? No, but you keep calling them radicals. And this is why people think the parties have switched sides. The Republicans were founded as radicals. The Democrats were the rebels. This has been ever since the Civil War, which Republicans themselves, are suckered into denying. We'll get to that in a second. But because I've been telling people this, they don't want to hear it. They want to follow what their pride dictates. They want to follow the people who stoke their pride and their anger. That's the people that they want to go after. When somebody actually tells them the truth, they don't want to hear that. All right? These Republicans that are given over to calling Democrats radical, y'all are letting Saul Alinsky control your language from the grave. That's why you call them radicals. You think that it hurts them to call them radicals because you think somehow it's going to turn people off that they follow this person called Saul Alinsky. And because of that, you call what the Democrats today are doing radicals. You call socialists radicals. You call communists radicals. None of these people are rooted in anything. The only thing they're rooted in is in selfishness and self-righteousness. And none of those things have a bottom. So you can't root those things in anything. You let the Democrats control the language. You do not have domination over the language. The Democrats do, and you give it to them at every freaking turn. See, Republicans, they don't want to hear that. They only want to hear the things that stoke their pride and their anger. And they want to go with this mainstream way of thought that does that. So I'm trying to say, dude, let Trump know, man, he's got to stop calling these people radicals. They're not radicals. You keep using the word as if you expect it to have some sort of effect. And it does. But it ain't an effect that's going to help you. All right? You keep calling them radicals, and they're not. The true radicals were the Republicans. The Word of God tells us to be radicals. It tells us to be rooted in the Word of God. That means be radical. That's what it means. Y'all have lost that. You think that radical just means to be extreme or a nut or something like that. That's y'all giving over to the language that they have set the stage for.
Yep.
You let them control the language on that, and you followed suit. Now I even see memes now with some right wingers, with pictures of, Charlie Kirk and stuff like that. And then you wonder what radicalized us. Oh, you know what? Maybe stuff like this wouldn't happen if you were radical in the first place. We were supposed to be and stay radical. We were supposed to be and stay rooted. You lost your roots. You let the Democrats uproot you. That's what happened to the Republican Party. And so, once again, they have no use for people like me because I don't stroke their pride and I don't stroke their anger. That's what they want. So, it's so funny to me that you got, all these these mainstream Republicans who swear that they love the Constitution so much. And they love God too. Yeah, sure, they love God. Right? They love the Constitution. Well, if you love the Constitution so much, then why don't you call Democrats what the Constitution calls them? Here, we'll even make it even really simple for you. Go to the constitutional text. Go to the constitutional text and just do a search for the word rebellious. And if you do, you'll see that it describes the Democrats. But you don't want to use it. You want to be the rebels, huh? Right? That's so cute. That's so cute. The Republicans want to be the rebels now, right? No. The Constitution describes rebellion as exactly what the Democrats have always done. But for some reason, that's not good enough for y'all to call the Democrats rebellious. You don't call them the rebels. You call them radicals. But the Constitution describes it. The Bible, more importantly, describes what the Democrats have done as rebellion. Who call them rebels? But you have, Republicans that want to see themselves as, the real rebels, and they don't understand, they think, join the rebellion, we're in rebellion. This is what Republicans really don't understand. Y'all, the rebels took over a long time ago. You're late. If you're trying to be a rebel, you're late. The rebels took over and have been screwing the country a long time ago. You actually need to start being radical. You need to remember and get back to your roots about how the Republican Party was founded and who went and defeated the Democrats. But see, a lot of Republicans, they don't even understand that. They don't even know. That's why you have a lot of Republicans who have Confederate sentiments. And that's another area. That's another area where the Republicans have screwed themselves. And I've tried to warn about this. And I was flat out told that I was a nuisance. Mm-hmm. Flat out told by people that I thought were my friends. It's like, dude, y'all know Trump. You guys know. It's like, you might want to, send the word out that you might want to stop doing this. I was basically told that, dude, you need to mind your place. And your place is in exile. Why don't you stay there? That was the response to me by my so-called friends, right? Y'all, living here, in Texas, I see people wearing Confederate emblems all the time, and they're pro-Trumpers. You can go by the kiosk, and they got the Confederate battle flag along with the Trump flag and all that sort of stuff. And I'll go to them and I'll ask them, why do you sport the Confederate battle flag along with Trump? Or, why do you have that? And their answer is always the freaking same. It's always the same. Well, because it's history. It has nothing to do with racism. It has nothing to do with racism. I'm like, okay, you say it's about history as if you know what the history of it is. And then you say it's not racism. It's not about racism, which means that you don't know what the history of it is. And I know that there's freaking Confederate sympathizers probably listening right now who are ready to be defensive about the Confederate battle flag. And this is why the Democrats are able to do what they do. This is why the Democrats are able to do the damage that they do. Let me explain it to you again. And this is, like I said, for me, y'all, it really doesn't do much good. I might as well be talking to a brick wall because I've been explaining this stuff for years. All right? Explaining it for years, and people just stay in denial about it. But it's the truth. Right? That thing that they claim to care so much about, it's the truth. I ask any person who sports a Confederate battle flag, one thing I ask them, have you ever read the Constitution of the Confederate States? The answer is always no. Right? I asked them, and then when I explain everything to them, long story short, when I explain everything to them, I'm like, so they'll act like we knew all that stuff. I'm like, no, you don't. You didn't freaking know. But at the end of the day, their defense is it's our best seller. The Confederate battle flag is their best seller.
Sells more than the Trump flag.
Sells more than anything else that they got. Which just goes to tell you that, y'all, in the Republican Party, there's a bunch of freaking sellouts. They will sell that Confederate battle flag, that thing that is sabotaging our efforts, that emblem that is one of the most sabotaging aspects of the Republican Party right now. But it's their number one seller. They're sellouts, and they flat out admit it. Okay? So, now, you can tell, it's like, look, do you guys think that the Democrat Party is evil? Yeah, the Democrat Party is definitely evil. Yeah, they're evil, right? Evil enough to enslave people to their ideas? Totally, yeah, okay. So, you don't make the connection that these evil, slave-minded people, you don't make the connection that the Democrats were the ones who founded the Confederacy in the first place? They glitch out, y'all. Every freaking time they glitch out. And then after they come back from the glitch, they try to act like they knew. And then that's when they say something really stupid. Well, it's our number one seller. That's their response. So when I go to these kiosks that have it, I was like, y'all did yourself a disservice. You're the reason why the Democrats were able to steal the election. You flagged in the victory for Joe Biden. You flagged in the victory for the Democrat Party because the Democrat Party is the one who founded the Confederacy in the first place. Republicans act like they know this stuff, but do they know what to do about it? No, except for shoot themselves in the foot with it and then just go around and say, well, it's American history. It's not history. It's freaking Democrat history. If you read the Constitution, it's like they'll try to, well, say it's not about racism. Obviously, you never read the Constitution of the Confederate States, authored by the Democrat Party. Obviously, you've never seen, you're wearing the Confederate battle flag, but you never, and then you try to argue about it being a state flag. Okay, well, let's argue about it being a national flag. Have you looked at the Confederate battle flag as a national flag, like its iterations, such as the Confederate battle flag inside of the white field, the stainless banner? The stainless banner of the Confederacy. When they put that together, the motivation behind that, according to William Tapan Thomas, according to him, who was there with the design of it, the motivation or the inspiration of it was the heaven-ordained supremacy of the white man over the Negro. Oh, but the Confederacy has nothing to do with racism. The Constitution of the Confederate States was in contrast to the Constitution of the United States because the Constitution of the United States does not give language that gives provision to forced slavery. Constitution of the United States doesn't do that. That's why the Democrats made their own Constitution, the Constitution of the Confederate States, that gives in clear language provision for the enslavement of the Negro. While these suckers say that the Confederacy had nothing to do with racism. I'm not racist. Not only you fool, are you deceived about that? You're wearing a flag that was inspired by racism. And not only that, you're wearing the flag of the Democrat Party. So you got a lot of mainstream Republicans out there. These people are people that I know of that are the only ones stupid enough to wear the flags of their enemy. They wear the flags of their enemies, y'all. And then they wonder how it is that the Democrat Party does as much damage as they do.
Yeah, and can we be clear, when it comes to their houses and their vehicles, it's always a Trump sticker or a Trump flag next to the Confederate flag.
Every time. Y'all have no idea, and you don't even know the disservice that you've done to yourself. You have no idea how much you've sabotaged us, especially y'all who say nothing. I can see a person coming in with their Confederate stickers online and stuff like that, and I just see a whole bunch of likes. Do I see people calling people out now? Yep. They say, dude, can you get out of here with that stuff? Heck, even the lead singer from Pantera came out against it.
What?
Yeah. Phil Anselmo got he got into some hot water because he came out on stage and he started, doing he's like white power. And, and he got called out for that. And he was like, dude, I was joking. I mean, He wasn't like being a comedian where he's like hide behind a joke. It's like there was something like he was drinking like White Claw or something like that. And it was it. He was basically saying, you know, I'm under the influence of this. I'm like drunk with power or something like that. It was just like white power, right? But he did kind of go on a tirade though of saying how can, and we'll get to that another thing also. You know, he went off on a tirade of saying how come it's okay for when, you know, people want to make their gangster rap and stuff like that, they can drop the N-word and they can say all sorts of racist stuff and whatever, and they can get away with doing it. But like, say if we did something like that, we would be in hot water. We'd be in trouble, right? So he's just like, screw it, man. You know, see how you like it. So, you know, it was tacky.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of, you know, backed off from Pantera for a minute. It's like, okay, you know, and of course, Dimebag Darrell, you know, he had his guitar with the Confederate battle flag on it and stuff like that. And that stuff's a turn off. But, you know, I used to really enjoy their music.
Yeah.
But Phil at some point got a clue and people were coming to their concerts with waving the Confederate battle flag. And Phil's like, dude, I disavow. Please don't make this about that. He's like, I disavow. I don't have anything to do with that.
Just like we used to see that at a Tea Party. If anybody would come with a Confederate patch, you'd see them escorted out. That used to happen 15 years ago. I don't know what's changed, but... Well,
what's changed is that Republicans being given over to the gaslighting. Republicans are responding in a way where it's like they're on the defensive. And they don't really know how to respond to the constant charge of being called a racist all the time. And so they're letting their pride respond, right? So, like I said, when you got Trump, you know, going to Confederate memorials and giving speeches from a Confederate memorial, it's like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Why would you do that? Trump going to a Confederate, it's like, so basically, you do realize that you're in doing that, you're celebrating Democrats. All right, you're celebrating people who went to war against the U.S. Constitution in loyalty to the Constitution of the Confederate States, authored by the Democrat Party. And you got these people out there, you got Republicans, multitudes of Republicans out. Well, the war wasn't about slavery, it was about taxes and all that. It was Lincoln's northern aggression against the South.
I hear that often.
Yeah, Republicans are suckered into believing that Lincoln wasn't aggressive against the South. Lincoln was aggressive against Democrats, far more freaking aggressive than you are.
Yeah.
All right. That's who Lincoln was aggressive against. Yeah, the North had slavery too because they had Democrats in the North. They just didn't agree with secession. That was the big difference. The Northern Democrats wanted slavery for the whole shebang-a-bang. They wanted to expand and make slavery of it all, expand the territories. Democrats wanted their own operations in the southern states. The Southern Democrats. But they all wanted slavery. And Lincoln had to work with that. The ones who were covetous about what the South had were the Democrats because they're real freaking covetous, ain't they? Democrats got to be all up in everybody's stuff. They want their fair share. They're the ones who are always trying to get up in other people's stuff. Lincoln's the one who had to work with that to end slavery. That thing that Republicans seem to deny. Oh, there was no slavery. There was no way. It wasn't about slavery. Dumb, dude.
Yeah.
You don't realize how much of a disservice you've done. That's all you're doing is giving more fodder for the Democrat Party to use against you. That's all you've done. You've been given over to the Democrat Party. You're under their spell more than anybody. You think that the blacks and the Jews and the women are under the spell? They suckered you too. They got you under their spell real bad. You have no idea how much you helped them do the damage that they do. All right. So because I let people know about these things, the more I try to let people know, the more silent they want me to be. It's not just the Democrats. It's conservative Inc., so-called conservative Inc. There's hardly much of any really conservatism anymore anyway, y'all. It's a vapor. It's evaporating. Conservatism doesn't really mean anything anymore, right? What you have, they treat it like a sport. It's more like a sport. You got a lot of people out there want people to vote conservative. They want people to vote Republican. But do they actually want to live it? Hell no. They don't really want to live it out. They just want people to vote for it. I don't know, just so they can feel like they won something. You know, I'm right because y'all are always disappointed with your representatives.
Yeah.
Right? Do you think these representatives are invented out of thin air? No, they come from the culture too. A culture that you're not cultivating. You don't cultivate. The mainstream Republicans, all they want to do is cultivate office. The politics. Who's representing them in office? That's really what they think that's what's going to change the country. It doesn't. You do no cultural groundwork. No real cultural groundwork. You don't do the shaping that needs to be done there to have a person come out of that to go into office to uphold values. And what's even worse, you don't do the spiritual work. That's where it really starts. You know? So these are the things that have happened, y'all. I got tossed away, basically for telling the truth. Telling Republicans, look, these are the things that you're doing that are sabotaging you. All right? You're shooting yourself in the foot. And they don't want to listen. They want to follow what their pride dictates. And they can't freaking sell anything. They want to they want to boast in capitalism, can't sell it worth a damn. And we haven't even had capitalism, and I don't know how, not in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
We haven't had capitalism here in a long time.
Not in our grandparents' lifetimes.
Exactly. We haven't had capitalism in a long time. What's a Republican's idea of selling capitalism? Well, you know that while you're sitting there with that Starbucks and you're looking at your iPhone, well, that's capitalism. They make themselves out to look like the bourgeoisie, materialistic. That's not capitalism. They got socialist countries that have freaking Starbucks and iPhones and Androids.
Yep.
How is that definitive of capitalism? Y'all, all capitalism is the recognition of your property. That's pretty much it. It's basically the taxation of outcome, not income. Right? When you make a sale, when there's a transaction, there's a tax on that sale, an excise. That's capitalism. That's constitutional. We can do that. Capitalism recognizes your right to property. Capitalism recognizes that when you earn income, that's your property, and the state can't levy against it. You shouldn't be able to pick up your check and look at your gross income, and then under that see a net income. There is no net income. It's gross. Everything you earn is your property. It belongs to you. That's capitalism. In capitalism, there's no property taxes. There's no capital gains. You can't just tax a person in perpetuity once they have the property over something. You can't do that. Capitalism recognizes your right to property. And it's as easy as that. And that's and for some reason, and when I explain that to people on the left, hey, a lot of times they get it. You know? But Republicans just make it all complicated and materialistic and make themselves look like the bourgeoisie. And that's why they can't sell it. I'm all about making money. Hey, I want to make my money. I want to make my money. And they associate that with capitalism. Socialists like to make money too. And socialists are the ones who are more prone, so in these collectivist societies, are the ones who are more prone to do dishonest things to keep their money.
Yeah.
It's how you end up with these crime syndicates and stuff like that. None of that stuff is capitalism. Entrepreneur, enterprising, commercialism and stuff like that, that's all. When we're talking about making profits, that in itself is not definitive of capitalism. Doing things sub rosa or making dishonest trade deals and stuff like that. None of that stuff has anything to do with capitalism. Nothing. But we've allowed movies to make it about that, and TV shows and radio and songs and the culture and teachers and whatever. We've allowed them to define what capitalism is. And your defense against it is basically to sound like some materialistic bourgeoisie. And that's why people don't take you seriously. And people have this prejudice against capitalism, a system that they've never even known. Yeah. A system they've never even experienced. The pain that they feel in the economy is this quasi-socialism that we have. That's the pain that they're feeling. And the Democrats use that pain to attack capitalism and say, no, what you're really feeling is capitalism. You're feeling the greed of capitalism. No, they're feeling the greed of the collectivists who are imposing this quasi-socialism on us. Like I said, y'all, I don't know if we'll ever go socialist because Democrats don't want us to go socialist because if they made us full-blown socialists, they wouldn't have a culprit anymore to accuse of how sucky the economy is.
Yeah.
They need to keep capitalism as the boogeyman. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, because I tell people these things, they don't want to hear it. They want the stage to be given over to the influencers and the pundits that stroke their pride and their ego. That's what they want. I reject, this so-called big tent republicanism, big tent conservatism. I reject it. Just strength in numbers. You had the numbers. The White House was still stolen from you, and you helped the Democrats do it. All right? And Republicans refused to come to grips with that. You flagged in the victory for the Democrat Party. You did that. All right?
Oh, what about people who say, we've got the presidency now, everything's great?
No. Okay. Here's another thing that gets me in trouble. We have the presidency now. You never stopped having the presidency. Okay? Listen. This Trump, Biden, this feeble-minded person who can't find his way off the stage, stole the White House from Donald Trump. Donald Trump could not protect you from him. And the damage that the Democrats did for 4 years. Trump was still president. Biden was not duly elected. Okay? Trump could not handle the Democrats. I see these memes. Trump, he's bombing boats and he's talking tough and he's making the other people quake in their boots and all that sort of stuff. Not one freaking Democrat arrest has been made here. Democrats ain't afraid of Donald Trump. Where their fear at? I mean, I don't know. Who's the one that we've made the most strides with so far? What, Letitia James?
I mean, James Comey and, John Bolton, but I doubt anything will come of those.
What's going to happen? What's going to happen?
And now I see everywhere, Obama's quaking in his boots. He's going to be arrested next. Really?
Okay. Well, I'll believe it now, and I'll say, hey, good job.
They might be arrested, but...
but come on. He does all this this globalist tough talk. But when it comes to the real enemy, so how we're supposed to deal with enemies, both foreign and domestic. The domestic enemy, the Democrats, they're doing more damage than anybody else around the world does to us.
Yeah.
I mean, well, they not to mention they help people around the world do damage to us anyway. So, what's going on?
Hard-boiled entertainment said that's always been a flaw among the Republicans. We're always active and zealous and passionate until we win the White House. Then we slack off.
Yeah.
With pride.
Exactly. Get complacent. It ain't like we got a super majority, and that it's stacked with rhinos too. So I mean, in terms of what we're really going to get done, I don't know. And I don't even know what I want them to get done because I don't have the expectations.
Yeah.
Because what are they basing their conservatism on? Like I said, the strength in the numbers. See, the Republicans, the so-called party of standards and values, was like big tent concern. We don't care who comes in. That was one of the reasons why I got set apart from like the so-called Hollywood conservatives, which there really isn't too much of a such thing.
No,
very few. A lot of y'all, they go into their speakeasies and you listen to them, and they're just as liberal as a liberal. You got a whole bunch of in there that are pro-gay marriage and transgenderism and making weed legal and even prostitution. They're just everything is liberty.
Pro-abortion.
Pro-abortion, right? And like, y'all, you really don't think much differently than a liberal.
Yeah, they're just like, we just don't like taxes.
Pretty much.
That's the difference.
That's pretty much the big difference.
That's why they call them conservatives in Hollywood.
That's the standards and values.
Yeah.
Right? And I'd be like, wow, with these people. And I'm pretty sure they felt it too. I would get flat out indignant. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I mean, and I would watch them do things, and I'm like, this isn't conservatism. And the stuff that you guys say and the stuff that you give Democrats exactly what they need to make the accusations that they make in the culture. And I would be ticked off, man. Sometimes probably more ticked off than I should, admittedly, because I've admitted I've got a rotten temper. And I let people know. I'm like, what the crap is, what are you doing? But just because you might have some different thoughts than a liberal doesn't make you conservative. But you have people in it, but that's all that mattered. Big tent. I was like, dude, you're not going to end up with a big tent of Republicans. You're going to end up with a big tent of obscurity. And the Republican Party right now, mainstream Republicans, they don't know their butthole from a hole in the ground, y'all. They really don't. They don't know who they are. They don't know who the Democrats are. And this is why people say that they can't tell the parties apart. That's why people are out there talking about, two wings on the same bird. It's because Republicans, they really don't try to make a distinction. The distinction that they try to make is just that liberals are dumb and DEI and all that sort of stuff, and they're stupid. Okay, well, yeah, they may be stupid, but they're running everything. What else you got? Surely you can do better than that. But Republicans, they don't sell it. They can't sell it. Like I said, Republicans got to wait until Democrats make things so freaking bad that people consider an alternative.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, that's their big sell. Yeah, that's a horrible strategy. But Republicans, what they want to support is who they're going to support in office. That's where their support goes. That's where their fidelity is. They think in order for them to make change, it has to be as official as who they got elected. And then I guess whoever's elected is going to go in and they're going to change the culture. You forget that we're governed by our consent. You might want to make the case in the culture where a culture would consent to this kind of governance. You don't do that. You do it butthole backwards. Democrats, like I said, they do the wrong things, but they do it in the right order. Spiritually, culturally, and then politically. Spiritually, they answer to their demons.
Yeah.
All right? They answer to demons, and they take that into the culture, and they put the messaging in the culture that's driven by demons, and they get control of the culture. And then they take that into the political realm, even if they got to cheat. But that's answering to their demons now, ain't it? And it works for them. Republicans do it in a backwards order. They think that this is going to be solved politically. And the culture is going to submit. The culture is going to conform to the rock-ribbed conservative that they put in there, whatever the crap that means now. Right? And then, God bless America, genuflect in there.
Yeah.
Right? So, that doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So this big tent conservatism, like I said, conservatives talk about standards and values and all that sort of stuff. And we want to make sure that people are vetted before they come into our country. Right? We want to know who you are and be documented and all that sort of stuff. And, before you come up in here. But when it comes to coming in the Republican tent, the vetting, no. We don't care. We don't care what you believe. We don't care. As long as you vote for Trump, right? Just come in and vote for Trump. That's all. We want the numbers. It's like, and you wonder why the Republican Party doesn't have much integrity. Not much integrity in the mainstream Republican Party, is there? No, there isn't. There isn't. That's why you're complaining all the time and stuff ain't getting done. And of course you have a lot of people out there fooling themselves and they think, we're winning, victory. And no, you're not. And I call this stuff out, and it ain't really popular. I'm not trying to be popular. And don't get me wrong, y'all, I butthurt a lot because I don't have the views that I used to have. But it's not about the popularity. Heck, sometimes I feel like, man, I don't think I even deserve to be as popular as I was. But I didn't deserve to be as shunned as I am either. I don't think I deserve that. So like I said, the Republicans, they left me for career dead because I questioned. Like, dude, how is this conservative? Especially when you got a lot of, it's popular for a lot of conservatives to say, well, we're the real liberals. We're the classical liberals. I hate that. It's like, look, man, the first liberal, the classical liberal is the devil himself. That's your classic liberal. All right? Because if you're going to be a classic liberal, how do you really define it? To define yourself as liberal is it's quite arbitrary. Because whatever you think might be liberating and free-minded and all that sort of stuff may be constrained on somebody else. You can't really define it. Satan himself was the first liberal. Adam and Eve were as free as anybody could ever be. They were free from ever being unemployed. They were free from ever having to be hungry. They were free from death. They were as free could be. And then Satan came in and told them that they weren't. Satan basically told them that they need to seek their own truth. Satan basically telling the truth, telling them that the truth himself lied to them. Placed doubt in their minds and shackled them to his own idea of liberty. That's what a liberal does. A liberal shackles other people to their idea of liberty. That's what Satan did. That's your classic liberal, y'all. But you got a lot of conservatives out there thinking, I'm a real classical liberal. Okay, well, maybe you are. Maybe you are. But to be a conservative doesn't mean that you're a classic liberal. And if you think that, then you're satanic. So, like I said, because I put it out like that, conservatives don't want to hear that. I became, me sticking up for these values, y'all, has destroyed us financially. Pretty much made us homeless. And, when Howard Dean was talking about the only blacks that you see, are at a Republican convention are the help, I became that guy. I'd be at, in trying to find temporary work to try to get back on our feet and stuff like that. I mean, because when this crash happened, when they really pulled the rug out from us, they pulled it out hard, And like I said, the conservative movement left us for career dead. And, trying to, find work and stuff like that, in the temporary, I'd, be working at hotels, convention centers, setting up tables and stuff like that. And then, some Republican conventions would go in there. I'm setting up table for them. I was that guy that Howard Dean was talking about.
From going on tours to speaking engagements all around the country to being the help at the Republican events. Yeah,
where people didn't even know who I was.
Yep.
Matter of fact, even the place where I started, the place where I, branched, where I started where I first started going viral with my videos, the very town I went in, right? And then basically come back to be the help there that nobody recognized. So that's how the Republican Party did me. So all that to say, ain't nobody can say that I did this for the money. I don't do it for the money. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't mind making some money with it, but I did this because of my service to the Lord and thankful for being born in America and looking at his word and saying, this is what it takes to conserve it. His word is fixed and eternal. It's not an idea made by fallible men. I find no flaw with Jesus. I find no flaw with his commandments. So in examining who he's always said he's been, I see that he is the truth, and I set my conservatism on him. He's my standard. So that being said, like when I'm saying that, you can't really say that I'm doing this for the money. Brings me to Charlie Kirk. For anybody who's hung in there with me this long. And look, I'm not meaning to frivolously speak ill. Really quick, I see David Fulbright asked, please describe an ideal mindset and policy position of a real Republican conservative. I can say that in one word: Bible. That should be that should be our platform, right? That's your platform. That's your constitution. That is my real constitution, the Bible itself, right? And by that is what you can uphold the Constitution with. But that'll get me, but I'm saying that as a short answer. I think it's a very substantive answer, but that's a short answer because I'd have to get off into a whole nother thing. But let me go ahead and explain this thing with Charlie Kirk. All right. I didn't want to talk about Charlie Kirk, earlier on. For me, I guess it would have been tacky. And out of respect for, his wife and, and the children that, his surviving children. So, I kept my thoughts to myself. I didn't want to be one of those people who wanted to be first out there to say something. Whether it was pro Charlie Kirk or not, or weigh in on the shooting and stuff like that. I just wasn't something I really wanted to tackle. And I wouldn't say anything about Charlie Kirk now that I haven't said while he was alive. Let me just say the bottom line is I've never been a fan. I've had my run-ins, not a run-in, but I've experienced enough of Charlie Kirk to know that he wasn't somebody that I wanted to be involved with. I think a lot of people don't understand the disservice that Charlie Kirk did. And maybe, and I know people don't want to hear, a lot of people don't want to hear it right now. And hey, at some point, you'll come to the realization. People didn't want to hear it when I was saying, hey, you know what? Candace Owens, she's not who you think she is. All right?
And everyone scoffed at you.
Yeah. And it was like, once again, ignored, whatever you have to say. Now people are like, oh, Candace, she's a grifter. I'm like, yeah. Same thing with Kira Davis. Kira Davis was like, she was trying to warn people about Candace Owens too, and people she got shunned. Right? She got shunned. And Kira Davis was like, well, maybe, and people, it's like, you'll figure it out when I'm telling you about Charlie Kirk. You'll figure it out. Charlie Kirk, money. I mean, when I've shared the stage with both Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk. All right, neither one of them could look me in the eye. All right, and Charlie Kirk, I got a sense of what kind of person he was doing a speaking event with him. When he, or being at an event and he's right there, he knows who I am, but makes it a point to not connect with me, goes away, but sends one of his flunkies to talk to me about donating to his organization. So that kind of gave me an idea of what kind of person Charlie Kirk is. So I would notice things like, as he started to gain more power, I would get invited to come and speak places. And I would speak there, get well received, and they'd be like, man, we definitely got to have you back. And they it's like, we're going to, maybe like, maybe in a couple of months, do you think we can come back? We'll set something up again, right? And these people would never contact me back. And then I would notice that they got involved with Charlie Kirk. I would see things like that. I saw things like that a couple of times. Right? So the disservice, Charlie Kirk, at the time, Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens, y'all, they wanted to be the trailblazers. They didn't want people to know about somebody like me. They took full advantage of my shadow banning. And Charlie Kirk, what he was doing, I know this is a hard sell for folks, but, bear with me. Charlie Kirk got killed doing exactly what the Lord said to not do. Charlie Kirk made a spectacle of our political discourse. He wasn't really going to enlighten anybody, y'all. I know you think that he was. He wasn't. He was going there for the sensationalism of triggering lefties. Having an argument with him, and he's going to, dress them down or make them melt down or whichever, and show how, I guess, whatever, unstable these people are. It was like freaking Jerry Springer on a college campus. It's just like, it was a spectacle. That's what he did. He went to cast pearls before swine. The Lord says don't do that. He wasn't going there to enlighten anybody. He wasn't going there to edify. He was there to make a spectacle of the political discourse. All right? And in doing so, and the word says, if you do that, you're going to get annihilated. And Charlie Kirk did get annihilated. All right? Go on, and it's like, look, man, what you're trying to show how we could have told you that Democrats are crazy. Yeah, Democrats are nuts. We already know that. What else you got? There's a better way to go about by doing this. You got a lot of these people who are doing that, going on the college campus and making a spectacle of showing how they're gonna riot and they're gonna do this and that. They're gonna have a meltdown and all that and whichever. Making these people melt down instead of like actually getting them to wake up is two totally different things. And that's what happened, y'all. It was a spectacle. And that spectacle cost. There's a better way to go about by doing these things. But Republicans don't want to do that because they just want to they want to have it pointed out how stupid liberals are. They're so dumb. They're so stupid. And they think that, that's the impression that's going to be made. See how dumb and stupid they are? Yeah. Like I said, they have to wait until these dumb, stupid people run everything into the ground so badly that they seek an alternative. That's not really, like I said, that's not a good sale. So Charlie Kirk, one of the disservices that he did to the Republican Party, where he was more helpful to the Democrats than he was for Republicans, is that Charlie Kirk is one of those people who presses the idea that there's no systemic racism. The Republicans are giving over to this idea that there's no systemic racism. There's no white privilege, right? There's no systemic racism, white privilege, and white supremacy. There's no such thing, right? So Charlie Kirk is basically, it's like he's making the case that, hey, you blacks, you're being lazy and ignorant, and it's your fault. It's your fault because you're black, and there's nothing else. There's no other factors. You're black, and you're lazy. So the problems that you're having is because of that, and there's no systemic racism holding you down. There's no white privilege, and there's no white supremacy. Okay. So Republicans are suckered into believing this. Well, then you got nothing on Democrats, do you? You got nothing. See, systemic racism is a real thing. You know why? Because we have Democrats. Democrats are running the school system. And you notice that Republicans are always trying to say, we need to get school vouchers. Why? Why do blacks need school vouchers if there's no systemic racism to protect them from? Oh, there's no systemic racism? Now, how do you explain the abortion clinics that are strategically placed in black populated areas that have effectively been part of keeping the black community at 13% of the population? No systemic racism? No white privilege? Even though Biden is still running free and, the Clintons. They're the ones who are doing all the things that have kept our borders open, to so many coming in here. That's white Democrats doing that. So we got white privilege, we got systemic racism all over the place. Democrats who are running the education system. Who do you think is making sure that blacks get in their classrooms so they can shape their minds and keep them as a voter stock? Well, that's Democrats doing that. And then when you got Charlie Kirk saying that there's no systemic racism, well, you just exonerated Democrats. That's why Democrats are able to beat. Y'all pretend like it doesn't exist, and Democrats are just able to use that narrative to accuse you of it. Instead of just saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, you know what? There is systemic racism, and you guys are at the root of it. It's you. Republicans don't do that. You know? And they give Democrats everything that they need to fire against them with this race narrative and keep it going, and just keep it going. So, you know, Republicans, they've been given over to that idea, and this is why Democrats are able to beat you in the culture so bad. Use this narrative over and over again. Republicans say, oh, it's getting tired. People are getting tired of it. They said that like 30 years ago. And Democrats are still using it. Right? So, when you have, you know, Charlie Kirk, who is helpful in making the DEI narrative, like for instance, like when you got Democrats basically use blacks to get everything that they want done. The Democrats imposed their bigotry onto blacks, marginalized them, and then turn around and use that to gain sympathy votes for it. And remember, you know, look at how the white people, playing on people's white guilt, the stuff that they're actually guilty of, but want to play up white guilt to make sure that whatever they want to get passed. Well, you know, there was a time when blacks and whites couldn't be married. Well, then gays should be married now, be able to be married too. And according to the white liberal, hey, if you can accept what blacks do, you can accept anything. Right? That's because they're such saintly people that, hey, we're tolerant. We're tolerant and accepting enough to be able to put up with black people. Yeah, we like blacks. We're better people than you because and with that, we can go ahead and usher in the other stuff. Whatever other policy they want, whether it's economic policy, social policy, border policy, whatever. They use blacks for that because they always bring up, oh, look how badly black people were treated. And then, you know, people follow being suckers for that, and then they get their other policies passed. So when you got Charlie going around the country, I guess, with his black gay friend, look, I have black friend. Oh, and he's gay. Helping to solidify the idea that blacks and homosexuals have something to do with each other. And that's why you'll have conservatives say things like, if it's all because of those DEI hires. No offense. I'm sorry, like, what the crap do I have to do with DEI? But because Democrats have promoted the narrative, and you have people like Charlie Kirk, who parades around with his black gay friend to make it look like, hey, DEI and black or homosexuality have something to do with each other. Charlie Kirk, who's like, oh, I'm not a racist. I've got black friends, and we're all going to get on the bus, and we're going to tour the country. I'll even let the black people ride in the front. So you got people out there who are suckered by what Charlie Kirk was doing. But he was a model Christian. He was a Christian. Charlie knew where he was going to get his money from. Charlie Kirk was out there proselytizing. He was wanting to bring people to Donald Trump, not bring people to Christ. But he saw where he can get some more money. I've seen it. I've gone to. I've been asked by churches to come and speak. And like I said, I'd speak there and they'd want me to come back. Standing ovation and all that sort of stuff. They never call me back. And I find out that Charlie Kirk has something to do with that church later. It's like, no, we're not going to have it back. And then I see people like going there to try to get money for movies. You know, I see how it's about the money. They want to get money for their movies. And I could be on the panel. I could be on the panel and they'll ask, an audience member will ask something like, how can we infiltrate the culture? How can we, and nobody on the panel, not even the producers would have an answer. Nobody would have an answer. And I'd be like, okay, I'll answer that. And as soon as I start talking, I get a few words out, but they were enough, I guess, for some people. But even the producers would come up and grab the microphone. Oh, okay. Because they were worried about getting money for their production, not for actually doing anything for the culture. I would just leave. But on the way out, people are like, Lamp, I really appreciate what you said. It makes sense. But to the producers, what they saw was somebody hindering them from them getting paid, from them getting money. I've sat amongst this stuff, y'all. I've been there. I've been in the middle of it. So yeah, the money. So I know people think that, Charlie Kirk is, he's a Christian. He's out there evangelizing. No, he found out where to get him some money. I mean, when a person goes, if he's going to go after, hey, if Martin Luther King is fair game to Charlie Kirk, well, Charlie Kirk is fair game. Charlie Kirk wanted to make a name for himself, destroying the legacy of Martin Luther King. Now, before anybody says, oh, you're just defending Martin Luther, hey, listen, Martin Luther King wasn't exactly a prince to me either. All right, I have a problem with Martin Luther King when he makes a dissertation. He's talking about, he's questioning the godhood of Christ. Well, dude, don't be calling yourself a reverend.
Right.
If you have doubts, about the godhood of Yeshua HaMashiach, I don't know if he's ever recounted that, and I hadn't seen where he has. If he has, I'd like to hear it. In the womanizing and all that sort of stuff. I don't. Has Charlie Kirk ever gone after JFK? Maybe he has. I don't know. I don't remember him trying to make a name for himself going after JFK.
Didn't make the news if he did.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But no, he wanted to make a name for himself going after MLK. MLK was the sacred cow that bothered him. So he made
money off the shirts.
Yeah, so he wants to tarnish the legacy of Martin Luther King to help make a name for himself, which I think is really tacky. Martin Luther King was facing off Democrats before Kirk was. Okay? Martin Luther King, was he a heathen? Yeah. Sounds like he was a heathen to me.
Yeah.
But even as a heathen, he actually did more. He did more for America than Charlie Kirk did. Charlie Kirk actually, the things that he does actually works against it. He's another one of those who strokes people's pride and their anger. The word of God says pride goes before destruction. But people like Charlie Kirk because he stroked their pride and their anger. Martin Luther King, even as a heathen, did more for America than Charlie Kirk did. All right? So, when you have this so-called conservative movement, this mainstream Republicans, who would reward some woman in Detroit. Minnesota? Was it Minnesota? Remember that woman dropped the N-word? She called a little boy an N-word and stuff like that?
Correct, Minnesota.
And was able to put together like a
Shiloh Hendricks. Yes.
Shiloh Hendricks, right? And was able to put it, and a whole bunch of, right-wingers came to her rescue. Came to her, we're going to come and, help the white girl. Y'all, this is what I mean by how uprooted the Republican Party is. That trashy woman was most likely a Democrat.
Yeah, that's true.
Most likely a Democrat. And she drops the N-word and y'all want to give her money. And you think that the Democrats have black people brainwashed and Mexicans and women and Jews. No, they got you, right? Like I said, y'all do more to help the Democrat Party than you know. You're going to go and give this trashy woman money and reward her for using the N-word. And the so-called logic is, well, blacks use it in their music. And I agree. And I've called that stuff out before. And there's no good excuse for it. But to repay evil with evil is also dumb. So just the constant helping of the Democrat Party that the Republicans just unwittingly do. And when you tell them about it, they don't la, 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 la. Right? See, And so Charlie Kirk is a part of, Republicans wanting token Negroes. That's what they want. And so with y'all doing yourselves the disservice of acting like systemic racism isn't a real thing, because like I said, if you say it's not real, then the Democrats have never been guilty of anything. That's why you can't beat them. You pretend like something that doesn't exist. You've made up your own truth. That very thing that you don't like about Democrats, making up their own truth, you're doing the same thing. Right? So, but when you got the Republican Party that likes, this is an example of the token Negroes. And Negro is not a bad word. All right? Negro just means black. And that's what we are. We're black. Biblically, we're black. All right? That's our nation. But token, that's a bad word. I mean, no matter who you're applying it to. But they want, an example of your token Negroes would be the kind that says, well, blacks had it better under Jim Crow. There was a 2-parent household and there's more solidarity and you have the mainstream Republicans out there clapping like a freaking trained seal, saying that's right. Now that's our kind of black person. That's a smart man. That's a smart man. It's like, okay, there you guys go shooting yourselves in the foot again. So basically what you're saying is black people do better when they're under the governorship of Democrats because Jim Crow laws were authored by Democrats. So don't complain. Don't complain about black people voting for the Democrat Party because, hey, according to you, under the Jim Crow laws, black people they kept a household together. So, okay, well, black people just go ahead and voting for Democrats because Democrats are the ones who are going to keep your household together. And you're going to have a steady job, right? And you'll be contributing members to society. So that's what the Republican Party is given over to. When you have these sucker so-called black conservatives who are on a mission of appeasing their white peers, and you do have those, right? People tried to accuse me of that, but when they couldn't make that stick, they moved on. It's like, Zo's not that. He's not that person. They couldn't pigeonhole me. The left couldn't. It's one of the reasons why the trolls left me alone. Well, the trolls left me alone because the algorithm doesn't want me to be alerted to them. Because when they come to visit, it drives up engagement and they want to keep me invisible. Trolls don't even visit me anymore. I'm invisible to them. That's part of what keeps me shadow banned. But conservatives, it's like they don't want that either. With my stuff, right now, the so-called Republican Party is in a mode now where they're very defensive, and the only reason why they want to talk about black people is to complain about them, to make themselves look more virtuous. See, they're in a mindset now where they're so tired, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them for how tired they are of how Democrats have accused them of being racist and white people are evil. White people are evil, and they're like, no, we're not. And so now white Republicans are becoming basically birth of a nation. They want to show how virtuous the white people are and how bad black people are. That's what so all the time they want to show how black people are doing this. Black people are the usual suspects. Black people are the national threat. And we good white people need to stand up against it because black people are bad. We're good because black people are bad. Right? And they don't want to talk about anything else that a black person might be doing that might be good. I make music. I don't do music that has any bad words in it. I don't be cursing and objectifying women in my music, but Republicans, they don't. No, we don't want that because we're in a mode right now where we have to show that white people are good and black people are bad. And what you're doing doesn't fit with our motion to be able to do that, so we don't want to hear from you. And also because you keep things too freaking real. Right? You don't stroke our pride and our anger. We want more of that. Because our butt really hurts from what Democrats have been doing to us. So we need somebody to stroke us. So that's where they are. You know, this mainstream Republican Party is lost, y'all. They're lost. And so, at any rate,
Hardboiled Entertainment, I was going to say egg. He had a question, and I can't find it in the chat, but he has 2 questions. His first one was, Zo, something to the effect of, with all due respect, how do you know Charlie knew who you were? And going back years, when Charlie was like 22, when he was a kid, we had a mutual friend named Laura, and she has a big PR agency, and she was the one who got Charlie started in politics and being a household name. She started him. She really wanted him to get out there. She believed in him. He was running for some sort of little office, you know, and she asked Zo if he would help. And this was back in 2017, I want to say. And you flew out to Chicago even, and you spoke. You were one of the first speakers for his group. And then a couple years later, you'd speak with him again. So he does know who you are. You're one of the first who helped him get on the scene.
Yeah. Like I said, I've shared the stage with them. All right. When him and, Candace Owens were partnered, and doing their thing. So they know who I am.
And then his second question, which I think is a good question because there's other people asking it. If I may, are you saying that conservatives shouldn't talk with college students on campus, or is it a matter of methodology?
Methodology.
Okay,
so like I said, from what I've seen, and Charlie Kirk's not the only one, I've seen people go in there to make a spectacle.
Right. Yiannopoulos was one of the first, and then Ben Shapiro, they were doing that back in the mid-2000s. Yeah.
Now, like say for instance, let's look at it biblically. One would say, well, how about what happened to Paul and what happened to Jesus and and
Fair.
Peter, right? It's a fair question. Jesus didn't go to cast pearls before people. He didn't go to argue with people. If he spoke in the synagogue, or like say for instance, when Jesus went and tossed people out, that wasn't Jesus going and looking for a fight.
True.
Okay? He wasn't seeking out people to fight with or to argue with, because here's the thing. They were in his house. They were the intruders. He went in to kick intruders out of his house. All right. Jesus himself even said, I can't do miracles in my own hometown. I can't go in there and hook the gospel up in my own hometown, because I would just be casting pearls before pigs. They don't believe there. He would tell his disciples, there's certain places I don't want you to go because they're not receptive. You're just going to argue. Now, did they end up arguing with people? Yes, but they went there to address the believers. Their party would get crashed by non-believers. All right. That's a whole lot different than making an event to where you're going to go and to address people who do not agree with you, to argue with you. All right. Now, don't get me wrong, y'all, because, hey, that's part of our, I get it. It's part of our culture. We got talk shows that do it. You're going to have debates and things like that. I got it. You're going to have this discourse. Sometimes the debate is necessary. But to your point, the methodology. There's debate, y'all, in trying to resolve policy, and then there's a spectacle. Okay? What these people were doing was a spectacle. They went to cast pearls before pigs and make a spectacle of it. And that results in annihilation. So there's a better way. Let me say this again. I know some folks are probably sick of me saying it, but you have to understand, Democrats, these are people given over to their imaginations. To think that you could just go and reason with them, butt heads with them and reason with them, y'all, that's futile. It's practically futile. Their language, they're wired for imagination. You understand? You have to be in imagination land to think that there's multiple genders aside from male and female. That's imagination land. You have to be able to imagine that the child in the womb is not human and has no rights. That's imagination land. The fruits of your labor should be shared. Some of that is mine. That's imagination land. That we should live in a country without borders and everything will be just fine. That's imagination land. On and on and on. I can give you example after example of how they live in imagination land. That's their world, y'all. And you think that you're just going to come in there with reason? Not necessarily. Yeah, you may win the argument. It may be quite evident that you win the argument. But did it really make a stride in the culture? Not really. It's getting worse out there.
What do you think about Ray Comfort's, Living Waters? He does the same thing, basically. He brings the gospel, like directly to people. Okay, what do you think about his methodology?
Don't let me forget that. But because when I say, how do we address that? The thing about them being in imagination land. Well, communicate with them according to their imaginations.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, an example I can give you, like, again, right now, if they want to say, they want to bring up systemic racism and all that sort of stuff, agree with them. Agree with their imaginations. You say, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it's a real problem, man, and we really need to do something about it. And then tell them where it's really coming from. Now that you've agreed on that ground, or when they say things like, we need to defund the police. That's imagination. Dude, do you realize what happened if you would defund the police? But you want to defend them? Oh, okay, I agree. Let's defund the police. Let's start with the unions. You know what I'm saying? Start with the police union. Heck yeah. Start connecting with them according to their imaginations, and then use their imaginations against them. With reason as your gunpowder from there.
Right.
And then of course we have to have the kind of media and the messaging that does that. But just thinking that you can reason with them, if they could be reasoned with, they wouldn't be Democrats now, would they?
Absolutely.
But now to Ray Comfort, frankly, I've seen enough of Ray Comfort to conclude that, okay, I like his stuff. Ray Comfort, as far as I have seen, he doesn't make an appointment. This is what I've seen. Maybe he does, but in the settings that I've seen, it's not like he makes an appointment. Hey, here's an event that and I'm going to argue with people.
Right.
I haven't seen that. I've seen him approach people and ask, hey, I want to ask you a few questions, and people seem to be okay with it. And from there, it's not like, hey, we're going to engage in a debate. You just ask them some questions, I don't think there's necessarily something wrong with that. Like, say, for instance, hey, Jesus goes and talks to the woman at the well. He didn't make an appointment. Of course, he knew that he was going to end up talking to her, yeah. But you know what I mean, with, who is it? I think it was Simon speaking to, he was one of Candace's eunuchs, and I can't remember what the eunuch's name was. But at the end of it, he was like, dude, I want to be baptized. Can I be baptized right now? So it was like, he had some questions for him. They just kind of met each other and they started talking and whichever. I guess that's different than to make an appointment, make an event to we're gonna have this spectacle of people, arguing with each other and whatnot. So when you know that these are people who vehemently disagree with you, and you figure that you're gonna throw your pearls of wisdom at them. It's like, well, like I said, I question the methodology of doing that. I think there's a better way, of doing these things.
Yeah. Yeah, Hardboiled says, lest we forget, Stephen Crowder himself noted that he stopped doing his on-campus Change My Mind events because of how unreceptive it was. College has traditionally been a place where we have debates and we tackle these philosophies, and you know what I mean? Yeah. It is a place where you learn the differences in all these ways of economics, philosophy. It's the place where you learn all that. So in that sense, it's kind of good to have people there who think differently.
Well, there's debate. You debate as a utility, and then there's debate as frivolity. I think what these people, the aforementioned, we're talking about a frivolous exercise of debate, and like I said, it's a spectacle. Nothing got better from it, y'all. What got better was Charlie Kirk's fame, or infamy if you want, and his bank account. He got more rich and famous. Other people just got frustrated, whether you're on the left or the right. Doesn't matter. It didn't make life better for you. Made life better for him. But he always a spectacle. You see what I'm saying? If you're like, say for instance, if you're gonna practice law, all right, well, there's gonna be debate. That's necessary. I mean, biblically, that's necessary. If you're gonna have a case, there's gonna be arbitration. Yeah, you're gonna have to practice your ability to argue. You're gonna have to debate your position. That's not an exercise in frivolity, y'all. There's a utility to that, even in the medical field.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to be able to argue your approach on what you're gonna do for this patient. And so in different fields, y'all, there's going to be the exercise of debate. But like I said, when you turn it into a spectacle and you want to cast pearls before pigs, and this is an instance, this isn't just debate, y'all. When you go on these college campuses and you want to have this debate, this isn't just debate. It really is casting pearls before pigs. He's talking to reprobates.
Yeah.
All right, people who are at odds, not just against your political position, but at odds with God.
But what if there's like 10 in the audience who don't have a position and they're open-minded, as we say?
Yeah, if they went to college, they kind of deserve that. They kind of deserve to be in that. No, listen, once again, if you're in that area and these people have these kind of questions, there should be believers. That's what I've been trying to tell, like and I know the church is trying. I'll get to that in a second. But conservatives, like I said, as I've said 1,000 times, they have to wait until Democrats make things so bad. You got to make it to where people be like, man, it sounds like that's where the real party is. This seems like these people got something going on, and I want to be a part of that. Where the people who are on college campus, they realize that, look, I'm here to get my education, and I do not want to get caught up with the way that y'all, with what y'all think. Because I've been turned on to something that's been going on here, and I want more of that. Right? So, like, now in the churches, unfortunately, what a lot of the churches doing is that they're trying to look more like the world. Look more like, what the secularists enjoy and things like that, and come up with this Disney Jesus or whichever to be more attractive. It's like that's not a good way to go about by doing it. But y'all, the party should be, bumping to where with truth. It should be banging with truth, where it's like to make it irresistible. And to where these people on the college campus, it'll pick up on their radar. Where you don't have to come in and argue with people who are just looking to shut you down anyway, who are looking to annihilate you. Because not only does the Word of God say to not cast pearls before pigs, that can be paraphrased by, I think it was Mark Twain. Don't argue with an idiot, they'll beat you with experience. So the college campuses, those who are in Christ, who are on the college campuses, They need to be glowing, man, with the light that makes people, you know, that gets to me like, what is it about? What is it about you? You know, I want that. I want that for my life. You know, and as the Word of God says, be prepared to give an account. Be ready. You got a lot of people who they're more into, I guess they're more attracted to the idea of, you know, I don't know, being in love with Jesus or something like that without actually really getting to know who he is. And it makes it harder and harder. I must not be wrong, because the sell is not happening on the college campuses. Heck, even a lot of Christian schools or colleges are going sideways. You know?
Absolutely they are.
Yeah. So
we've lost most of the Christian campuses.
Because Jesus being taught for who he says he is ain't really being taught anymore.
No.
You know? So engagement, y'all, the methodology of engagement it's got to be more creative than just thinking that you can go on college campuses and just argue with people and make a spectacle of it. And that's my contention that I had with, with Charlie Kirk. Of course, my condolences, man. I hated that, he was assassinated. I hate that.
It's horrifying.
It's
very scary.
It's like, look, man. But did you think that this couldn't happen to you? I don't know if he thought that it could.
I don't think any of these like I told you when you would tour with Andrew Breitbart, I don't understand why there's not more security. The man had the president's attention in a negative manner regarding, the shutting down of Acorn, the busting up of Acorn. No security. I was always concerned that at any of these tea parties and these speaking engagements, something was going to happen. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, because I know that could be kind of, scary. It's like, here I am, like I'm sitting, with Andrew Breitbart and I sit next to each other, like preparing our speeches or going over.
My head was on a swivel.
And some nuttery can happen.
Yep.
Sure. Let me rephrase that. I don't think that Charlie Kirk was totally ignorant.
No, he had security there. Apparently not enough.
That it could happen, but it's like, look, man, if these people are as nuts as you want to showcase them to be, well, then you got to know.
Which they are. They're demonized.
Yeah, they're demonized. But once again, the word tells us, if you cast pearls before pigs, there's subsequent annihilation. There's a better way to do these things.
Yeah.
Let's see. So anyway, y'all, that's kind of like a little bit of what has happened, with my career, for the past, I've been pretty much off people's radar for about 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 years. I was falling off people's radar before that, 2011. My videos and stuff were getting throttled. They pretty much stopped going viral. Every once in a while, I would have a video go viral. It would slip by.
Yeah.
And it would go viral.
We would watch the view count go up and down.
Yeah.
And up and down.
Then 2016 hit, and after PJTV shut down, I should have been still fine, even after PJTV shut down. I had a big enough audience. My trajectory, I would have had a million page likes on Facebook, subscribers on YouTube, probably pretty soon. But they stopped. They stopped my growth. And my income just fell into a black hole, right? Just like that, along with my brand. And it's pretty much been there, since 2016. So all that to say, y'all, if anybody's, still listening and can kind of understand what it is I'm talking about, we're trying to rebuild. We're trying to, we're wanting to build Bronze Serpent Media. We could really use the support. We want to bring these values, these biblical-based values, not shape conservatism according to our feelings or our pride or or anything like that, or according to the ideas of fallible men. Yeah, there's great men out there, men doing great things, but our conservatism is based on the greatest of them, Jesus himself, the Word of God. This is what our conservatism is based on. So, and we want to be able to deliver media, multimedia in different forms, whether it's music, movies, teleplays, bold and flavorful, flavorful content, carefully done where it's bold but not on the nose, do it with style and guts. That's what we're trying to do. And, we want to try to be solid about it. And, we could use your support, not just, be a talking head all the time trying to reason, and try to connect with these people with reason because they're not reasonable. But connect with them in another way without cutting what the truth is. But connect with their imaginations and then deliver the truth. If that sounds like a plan for y'all, we would really appreciate your support at bronzeserpentmedia.com. Hit that donation page and, help us do our part. Because the conventional thinking with conservative, it's not really working. Mm-mm. It's a tried and true approach that's driven more by pride, and it leads to destruction. It's things are getting worse, y'all. So let's try something different, and hope you'll find us worth supporting.
Chris P.
Hey.
In YouTube chat says, remember Zo to Go with the drive-through format? Loved that one.
Yeah, and thank you. And thank you for your help with that. I do need those bite size. And the thing is, when I have that kind of, something's up when you have that kind of, flavor to go with things, and those things don't take off. It's the shadow banning. Because a lot of times people are like, I like the short, I used to love the short, videos that you do. Some people like it long form, some people like it short form, some people like it long because they can engage, just kick back and engage in the chat and stuff like that. Sometimes people like a little bite-sized stuff. But the thing is, it doesn't matter if it's long or short, it doesn't go anywhere because of the shadow banning. And you have Conservative Inc. or Big Con or whatever it's going by, they don't want me seen either. They want the monopoly. There's a direction that this conglomerate of conservative media and influencers want to go in. Yep. They all want to make a name and a brand for themselves, but there's a mode that they're in. There's a module that they're following to do it. And y'all, it's only helpful to them. It ain't helpful to you. All right? So, like I said, their brand is stroking your pride and your anger. And that ain't gonna get us where we need to go, y'all. It's not gonna work that way. We could do this better. And if once again, if you're hearing what I'm saying and you want to try, I'm not talking about trying anything new.
No.
I'm talking about what's tried and true. I'm talking, the Word of God is tried and true, and He tells us this is what you need to do. And I'm going by that. Hey, the Word of God is still here.
Yep. Yeah.
It's still here, baby. So I'm going by what's fixed and eternal. I'm going by what's still here. All right. And
which makes you unpopular in Christless conservatism.
Exactly. And Christless conservatism is prevailing. Once again, y'all, ain't nobody could say I did this for the money. Nobody can say I'm a sellout.
I can vouch for that.
All right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, indeed she can. I mean, because
I've seen you turn down movie roles that, I'm like, oh, Lord, okay, we trust you, God.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to sell out.
I don't want to, yeah.
And you don't want to sell your Lord out.
That's the main thing. That's the main thing. So I'm going to keep it real, y'all, and I want to try to do my best, in my service to the Lord. And, hey, you can't please everybody. But like I said, I want to try it this way. And if that sounds good to y'all, let's. I hope y'all will support bronzeserpentmedia.com. We got Cornerstone, Patreon, and
what are those?
Huh?
What's Cornerstone?
Cornerstone is a Christian-run payment system. So I hope you guys will support through there because that supports them. And we'd really appreciate it. Hit those buttons too. Maybe we'll glitch the algorithm. So anyway, let me try to make short work of these news topics that I was supposed to get to.
Well, the first one is Myron Gaines.
Yeah. Okay. So Myron Gaines. As far as I know, he is a Sudanese Muslim, homosexual. I don't know if he's homosexual.
No, he's very straight.
I wouldn't call him misogynist. Would we insult being straight with somebody like?
That's true.
Okay, let's just say that.
He's like Howard Sternish.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call Howard Stern straight. He's there's got to be a more fitting term for this kind of heterosexuality. He's a misogynistic a-hole. All right, so it's like you like women for basically whatever pleasure you might get. Women are good for you for that. That's about it. And do you actually like women? No. Right? Like Howard Stern. Do you like women? I don't think you like women. You might like objectifying them and whatever sort of sexual release or in any form, whether it's comic release or actually physical release or whichever, so making them the butt of your joke somehow. You may like that, but do you actually like women? No. So Myron Gaines, I guess, who digs Hitler.
Yes.
Okay, and now
and he wasn't being facetious.
No, he
right?
wasn't being facetious, as far as I know.
Yeah.
But
or snarky.
I don't want to spend too much time on Myron Gaines. This is what I'm bringing Myron Gaines up because I actually saw something very refreshing. Okay, because I tell you what, man, if you go to places like Gateway Pundit, or Breitbart, you're going to see a lot of racism. Racism has taken over a lot of the Republican Party.
In the comment section, yeah.
It's in there a lot. They're just not holding back. They're totally. The Democrats have steered them exactly where they need to go, or maybe brought out of them because they're just so the button has been pushed so much that it's just coming out. All right, but that aside, it was wow when I saw that Myron Gaines, make his anti-Semitic comments and talk about how much he loved Hitler, because somehow Myron Gaines is considered right-wing.
Yes, he is.
Right, and he's a model for young men to follow. We want to be manly like him.
Yeah, he does the Fresh and Fit program.
Yeah, it's like this is manliness to this generation. It's really sad.
Yeah, it is.
Really freaking sad. But when he's talking about how how evil the Jews are and how he loves Hitler, a lot of people, right-wingers came in and said, dude, you need to get out of here with that. We ain't having it. I was like, wow, what? It's like, this fine. It's like, look, man, that doesn't represent our values at all. So, because you see stuff like that, so when people want to denigrate, whether they're Jews or blacks, you understand, and you just see the main response is a whole bunch of like buttons. You'll see that like button gets worked until it smokes. So they don't get called out for it. I'm like, wow, man. Hey, okay. Way to alienate those who are conservative.
Yeah.
Who really, but thanks for the alienation.
If I try to call them out, I get banned.
Yeah,
so.
Carrie's been banned from Breitbart for calling them out in a very polite manner, way more polite than they are, by far. So Myron Gaines is, well, for some reason, he's got a big following, and that's really freaking sad because, a lot of these people, who follow him, they consider themselves right-wingers too.
Yep.
And this is the party of standards and values. But this misogynistic, objectifying Nazi lover, this is a person that can go viral with conservatives? Okay. Wow. Talk about a slap in the face. All right. And then we got Ketanji Brown Jackson compares black Americans to disabled people. Wow. I guess maybe she's not as pro-black as she thinks she is. It's like maybe she didn't just take the time to like listen to herself when she's making that comparison, defending the redistricting laws that give special treatment to blacks.
She rambles on so long, I don't think she does take the time to listen to herself.
Yeah. She when Ketanji Brown talks, she sounds like what's her name? Jasmine Crockett, when Jasmine Crockett's in certain people's company, you know what I'm saying? So, what is, oops, nope, I don't want to put up with that. What is it? The Supreme Court is hearing arguments on Wednesday that may overturn the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Ooh, Charlie Kirk would love that. Because these people think that there was a big mistake. You know? The Voting Rights Act, everything went downhill from there.
Didn't it bring in, like, you can't discriminate against people based on their sex and their gender and all that kind of stuff? Yeah,
it's tying that stuff in with it, you know.
Like, it should just be a people can vote act, right? But they tied a whole bunch of other stuff into it, didn't they?
Yeah, that kind of stuff you don't want to do. It's like, look, as Depeche Mode would say, people are people. So, and look, the determining factor should just simply be behavior. You know?
Yes.
If you're a human being, you're not committing crimes, you're not causing any sort of being a nuisance or anything like that. That it would put you in a position that would obstruct you being able to vote that you did to yourself. That's one thing. But to say that we shouldn't have had the voting rights and that just became a problem. It's like, no, what became a problem is that Republicans don't understand. Republicans are the ones who are always talking about how freedom isn't free. Freedom isn't free. Freedom isn't free. You're damn right it's not free. So you have to understand that there is going to be a cost every day, which means that Republicans, here's going to be something that's really uncomfortable for you. You're going to have to stay. You're going to have to stay in the Democrats' way of getting to black people. Yeah, that's the cost. You see, Democrats have made it to where they have got a grip on black people. They need black people more than anybody else. And they're gonna fight tooth and nail. And just like, they wanted to keep blacks enslaved during the Civil War, Democrats wanted to keep blacks enslaved. There had to be a war to get Democrats to let them go, right? That is the vice grip, the kung fu grip that Democrats want to keep on black folks today. And Republicans have lost that tug of war. Mm-hmm. You have to understand how important black people are to the Democrat Party. Through black people is how Democrats shape their arguments to do everything else they want to do. Everything that they want to pervert America with, they do through black people. All right? And Republicans basically have handed black folks over to the Democrat Party and just say there's no systemic racism, there's no white privilege. Like I said, exonerated. Democrats are called, like I said, when they made the KKK, they called the invisible empire for a reason. And Republicans want to act like it's invisible. All right? So it wasn't the voting rights that was the problem. The problem was, well, you thought that the fight was over. Oh, the fight was just beginning. It's one thing to get your victory. It's another thing to keep it.
Amen.
Because Democrats they're going to just come right back, and they're going to try to get black folks right back under on their plantation. And Democrats got it to where Republicans are thinking that black people are the problem, not the string pulling Democrats, right? Yeah, you may be mad at Democrats and stuff like that, but the Democrats got it to where your resentment is really falling on black people. That's where the Democrats have got the Republican Party now. You resent black folks.
Yeah. Democrats
have put black folks in front of you to bear your resentment before your disdain gets to them. Yeah, like I said, you may not like Democrats, but you're taking it out on black people. Just how the Democrats want it, because they want to make sure that blacks and Republicans stay separate. So and it works, and it works great for Democrats when you have people like, I think it was Charlie Kirk, saying that the Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act, was bad.
Yep.
That works great for Democrats.
Yeah.
It's like folks don't know. It's like, dude, he was more useful to Democrats than he was to Republicans. What did it really do for you? What? Made you feel like a cheerleader for a second? But did it make things better for you? No. Just made things better for Charlie Kirk. And it made things better for the Democrat Party. So Democrats got that long. The Republicans think that, oh, we've got them on the ropes, and we've got the Democrats. They be playing that long game.
Yeah.
You underestimate them, right? That's a big mistake. And I guess, I don't know. We're gonna have to find out the hard way again.
No.
So, but all that to say, Ketanji Jackson, I guess,
She says black people are disabled because they're black.
Yeah. So, wow. I mean, once again, thank you, Ketanji, for that vote of confidence with the black community. And, they are handicapped by the Democrat Party. They are. But like I said, when you got a lot of these, white Republicans and conservatives and stuff like that thinking that, black people are, there's no excuse for, them being brainwashed by the Democrat Party and all that sort of stuff. Like I said, these same people, they're just as brainwashed by the Democrat Party as anybody else. Just as brainwashed. They don't really understand how much they help the Party do what it does. Mm-hmm. Especially, like I said, those Confederate flag wavers. Or you don't even have to be a Confederate flag waver. A lot of Republicans out there who don't wave the Confederate flag, they'll say, we should keep up the Confederate statues and Confederate monuments. We should keep those up. Why? Because it's American history. Democrats are like,
right.
Right? It's American history. It's not American history. It's Democrat history. If you want to keep the statues up, and I don't think they should be taken down. I don't think the statues should be taken down. I'm a leave the Confederate statues up person as much as anybody else. Leave them up. Just make sure that you put a D on it.
Right.
These Confederate memorials and things like that, make sure that people know that they came from Democrats. They were Democrats. Republicans don't do that.
Yeah, and absolutely nobody knows.
Yeah. They don't do that.
20-year-olds barely know who Abraham Lincoln is today.
Right? Yeah. It's so sad. No, like I said, Lincoln was just according to Republicans, a lot of Republicans who are brainwashed, they're just doing a total service to the Democrat Party. When you got Republicans out there, Lincoln was just a tyrant, northern aggression against the South. Democrats are like, success. So, what else we got here?
There's a question in the chat by Jeff Sketchy. And can you go over real quick what exactly I said to get banned by Breitbart?
Ooh.
Because it's too much to type.
I hope I can.
I can sum it up.
Yo, I have the screenshot. But if this takes too long, dude, I may have to. Let me see. I'm gonna see if I can. I should log these things better.
Yeah, because this isn't the first time somebody's asked.
Yeah.
While you're digging for it, Pete Mosk says, "Hey Zo, I know you're a fellow Kiss fan. Very sad about Ace Frehley, huh?
I know, right?
Rest in peace, spaceman."
Right. Oh my goodness. I tell you what, I didn't get to. I was. Well, I mean, heck, kids go to her concert.
Yeah.
When I saw Kiss in concert, it was with the latest lineup, and it was cool. I got to meet Eric Singer, who's an amazing drummer. Cool guy. But yeah, it's. I mean, what was he? 77?
I think 77. Yeah.
That's a good run. I mean, considering what he was able to accomplish, being a part of, one of the biggest rock bands in the world.
Yeah.
I'm trying, y'all. I hope I can find it.
The guy's avatar that I spoke with was a female butt in a thong.
Right.
So they allow that.
Yeah.
But little old me.
And
a bare female butt in a thong.
Right. Well, I mean, that's pretty much just what it is. mostly bare butt and some thong. I think it's on another one of my drives. It's like one of those things that I have like tucked away.
Well, it was the article that Breitbart did about black farmers getting federal subsidies. Mm-hmm.
And because I'd just like to be able to just show you all the screenshot.
Yeah.
And y'all see like you got for real. If I'll make a posting of it. I'll find it. If I can't find it in this segment, because I don't want to hog up too much time trying to find it. But I do have it, and I'll post it for y'all to see. And y'all will be like, really? You got banned for that? Okay. I'll try not to forget. I shan't forget. 3i Atlas, y'all. What do you think? It's
Creepy.
a man, huh?
Creepy.
It's a Manhattan size. Well, this is it's posing a question. It's a question. Let's see.
This is a hard segue, by the way.
Yeah. It's something I probably have, I would say is more fun.
Yes.
Oh, man. Okay, I guess it's legitimate now because Glenn Beck is talking about it.
Yeah.
It's official, y'all. It's official now. It's okay, so I'm trying to see if we can get to the latest details. Quit bouncing around, man. I hate that. You try to just read the article and the ads keep on jumping in your face and start bouncing around on the thing. According to Richard C. Hoagland and David Sarita, the latest photos and diagrams of 3i Atlas revealed structured geometric formations that don't resemble a natural comet at all. They argue that the observed light pulses, symmetry, and organized what? Hurry up and go to the page. It had a see more thing.
No.
They argue that the observed light pulses, symmetry, and organized energy patterns could suggest an artificial or intelligently controlled object, like your LED Christmas lights. Yeah. So anyway, it's like somebody with a remote is out there, just changing the colors on this thing, and challenging conventional explanations from mainstream astronomy. Is this?
You can just go to the points that they're arguing. There's what did we read? 10 or 12 of them?
Yeah. Now let's see. Where are they at?
Here's a short list of all the anomalies researchers have found so far to argue that it's a spaceship and not just an asteroid.
Okay. So spaceship, for number one, precise trajectory. Its orbital lines unusually close, within 5 degrees, to the plane of the planets, unlike most interstellar objects that arrive from random directions. And so I guess I haven't seen other interstellar objects to make that comparison or remember any sort of commentary about them from the past to be able to make that comparison. Right. I don't know. And did we have this kind of, did we have this kind of commentary on it? Were we able to put, were we able to put these kind of tests, consider the advancements that have been made?
Right.
I'm pretty sure we've had some pretty, dang, look at our phones. The resolution on them and stuff like that is just better every 6 freaking months.
Yeah.
Were we able to make these kinds of observations of these interstellar objects that we're making with this one? I'm asking, and forgive me if it's an ignorant question, but I'm just saying the tools that we had to examine those earlier interstellar objects, heck, maybe they had the same attributes that this one did. We just didn't have the technology as refined. I mean, technology was pretty advanced back then too, but maybe our technology is more refined to make these observations with this one that maybe they missed on those earlier interstellar objects that came through. I don't know. What do you guys think? Retrograde, but ecliptic path. It moves opposite to planetary motion, yet stays almost exactly in the same plane. Statistically rare or a random visitor. And that's weird to think about, y'all, because, like, say for instance, in how we're situated in our galaxy, it's almost like the sun itself, even though it's not like okay, let me put it like this. Not the sun, but how about Pluto? Or we got some icy planets out there. I think Neptune is mostly gas and ice.
Are these still planets at this point? I don't know.
Yeah, they're planets, but because in the way that we travel, mm-hmm. Like say for instance, like if we're looking at our galaxy laid flat like this, our solar system. You guys, I'm pretty sure you guys already know this.
I said be careful. You're approaching flat Earth territory.
I know, right? The galaxy the galaxy has this kind of a disc shape, right? I'm just thinking out loud. I'm just trying to reason this out myself. Please forgive me, y'all. I don't assume to tell you guys anything that you don't know. But it's weird because if the galaxy is flat like this, our solar system doesn't sit in the galaxy like on the same orientation. It's like on its side. So, and which means that as our planets are in our solar system are traveling, they're almost traveling like Pluto itself would be like a comet, because it's traveling like this, the whole around. It's not like it's traveling through the galaxy like this.
Yeah.
It's more like it's traveling through the galaxy like this, like a screw.
Yikes.
All of our planets, right? So all that, and the reason why that brings that to mind is because it's saying that it moves opposite to planetary motion, yet stays almost exactly in the same plane, statistically rare for a random visitor. So it's like, I have to get my mind around. One, it's getting your mind to orient how our solar system sits in a galaxy that sits like this, and we're sitting like this. So how is this thing coming in there? That's and so I reckon that would be something they would say, yeah, that's pretty strange that it would go even opposite to that orientation, because it's weird enough how we're oriented in there. You know what I'm saying? A sunward jet. It emitted a jet pointing toward the sun instead of away, something never seen in comets, and suggesting controlled exhaust or propulsion. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's keeping itself from getting pulled into the sun's gravity, right? Is that what that is? So like you got this comet coming and it's gonna fart in the sun's direction, right? A comet fart or whatever this thing is to push it away from the sun. And okay, and I didn't know. Well, okay, yeah, because it would seem like because the sun, it has solar winds.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So if it's going to produce an exhaust, it would seem like the exhaust, whatever orientation the exhaust would come from, I guess it would be even if it's like coming from the top, it would be like this. But I guess this jet is making sure that it's coming from this side of the comet and pushing it away. Or I guess I keep calling it something. They're trying to say it's not a comet, whatever this thing is. I guess it's just easier to call it a comet for right now. The real question is, should we be like wearing some like really sturdy underwear in case these people want to show up?
For when it arrives.
Yeah, and experiment. Anyway, huh?
Hardboiled Entertainment says, what I think, Zo, is that it reminds me of the whale probe in Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. In other words, maybe we should hire Shamu to contact it when it shows up. Wasn't that where it disrupted the climate?
Oh,
it wreaked havoc somehow,
yeah,
right? Hardboiled Entertainment.
Maybe we're gonna have to do a date night where we watch
we need
that.
to watch that again. Yeah.
We'll watch it. I vaguely remember that one. Man, I know I've seen it. I hate to. Please forgive me, any Trekkie fans in there.
We are Trekkie fans. We just haven't seen it.
just maybe not as enthusiastic as other Trekkie fans and.
As Bill.
Yeah. I don't remember that one as good, but I mean, heck.
He says, "Yep, CJ, I remembered."
That's the one. Let's see. High nickel to cyanide ratio. The ratio is vastly higher than any known comet, raising questions about non-natural chemistry. So, nickel to cyanide ratio. Okay, so I guess this thing's got some funky alloys going on.
Now I asked you, how do they know that?
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, that's a good question. Is like, how do y'all know these compositions? Only thing I could think of, like, say for instance, with its proximity to the sun, and it heats up. I guess certain kind of metals, when they get hot, they're going to. Would it be plasma? The plasma is going to be a different color. Like, say for instance, if it's copper, you're going to get some green. You'll get some green heat discharge. So they're probably maybe that's what they're examining with these kinds of response to the heat that it's exposed to.
Yeah.
Other than that, I really don't know. In terms of as far as I know, like when they talk about comets, the composition that I'm familiar with is ice and dust.
Yeah.
Now I reckon the dust has to be, and it must be like very tightly compact dust. And I'm pretty sure there's, the comet is, is going to be pretty dense. What is the dust? What is the dust made up of? What sort of, mineral or metal, is the dust? I don't really know. I'm sure, somebody, amongst y'all knows. But high nickel to cyanide ratio.
Atema Tahun says it just moved. Spectrography. They use light to figure out what it's made of.
Yeah, that still leads us to this question. How is light used to do that? Okay, I guess.
Think the Pink Floyd album for cover Dark Side of the Moon.
And now it all makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you a teacher?
Extreme light polarization. Let me see. It reflects light in unprecedented way, possibly indicating a metallic or structured surface. Okay. Massive size and speed. Estimated to be millions of times more massive than Okay, so yet traveling faster than previous interstellar objects. Well, remember, okay, so now if it's moving that fast, and they're saying that it's somehow it's maneuvering through these planets. I mean, because y'all know that. I mean, well, if you're moving that fast, it's like maneuverability is going to take up a very wide margin. So, I mean, I guess it's going to need that kind of space in order to make the maneuverings that it's going to do at that speed. It seemed like when we were first hearing about this, it was one of the things that kind of caught the attention was that it was slowing down.
Yes.
I don't know if that's still true. If that's still holding up, that whatever this thing is was slowing down and then could, accelerate.
Yep.
And that's curious.
Very.
And I'm like wondering, well, what could make it slow down that much? If that's true.
Right.
And if it is true, what could make it slow down that much aside from any sort of, onboard dampening that it would have? When it's like, say, for instance, if you've got the sun here, is there a planet that's over here with a gravitational pull that's strong enough to slow it down? I don't know. I mean, this thing is emitting jets that it's keeping it from being pulled into the sun. So I reckon it's going to have jets that would keep it to be slowed down by another planet.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just asking. I'm trying to get smart like y'all. So y'all help me out, man. I'm asking these questions for a reason. Let me see. Optimized planet encountered. Its path brings it close to Mars, Venus, and Jupiter within weeks. Oh yeah, that thing. No, that's okay. It's supposed to be the 25th, right? It was something about it today.
It was today. Yes.
That
on October 21st, today, it will pass directly behind the sun from Earth's view, making it unobservable, seen by some as an ideal moment for concealed maneuvers.
You know what this reminds me? It reminds me from passages in the Bible, the angel that stands in the sun, and then the angel that throws a rock at the earth. Wow. What? It's one of those things that, hey, I'm not saying that that's what it is. I'm not saying that's what it
reminds you.
It just reminds you. Hey, maybe you might want to pick up the Bible and start reading a little bit. Now be a good, hey, better time as any. Right? Start getting acquainted with the word. So let me see. Optimized planet. Okay, we got that. No, it passed bringing close to Mars, Venus, and Jupiter. Within weeks, in alignment with extremely low odds of chance. Okay. Approach from the wow signal direction. I don't remember the wow signal. It entered the solar system from nearly the same region of space as the 1977 radio wow signal.
Well, it's because you were 4 years old, so that's why you don't remember it.
Yeah. I was still, I don't know, I guess I was, at 1977, I was still kind of nerdy and interested in space stuff. And I was wowed by, astronomy things.
Did you read the low water content?
Oh, yeah, listen to that. Okay. Now, if this is a spacecraft with alien being or with beings on it, and I guess if the consensus is that, water, life is dependent on water, shouldn't there be more water? But this has only 4% of its mass. I mean, it's like they might want to have lots of tanks, lots of tanks of water for this kind of travel. Unless maybe they're in stasis, I don't know. Or maybe it's just a probe. Hopefully it's, never mind. I was going to try to work in a Uranus joke in there, but I
No.
I shouldn't say Uranus and hope in the same sentence. Unless we're talking about hope it avoids, miss.
Yes.
Bullet burn. Anyway, let me see.
I was curious about the water ratio only being 4% because Atima said it would have to be way denser than it appears to be.
Yeah.
That was interesting to me.
Now, also that also raises the question. Okay, so you're expecting this thing to have more water? And if that's the case, how is it that we can have things just out there in the universe where it just seems like water just floating around? It can be on these celestial bodies and whatnot, and you ain't found no life out there yet.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, and y'all, I know that's. I'm being facetious because there's so many factors, that are dependent on, whether life is going to, take hold, on another planet or, we're talking, man, it's just the details, the orchestration of it, of all these factors to make that happen. Water's a key component of it, but it's definitely not the only part. Let's see. And did I catch approach? Oh, got the wild signal. Solar conjunction hideout. On October 21st, there it is, 2012, it will pass directly behind the sun from Earth's view, making it unobservable. How long is it supposed to be there? Now, when is this supposed to, like, what am I confusing October 25th with? Maybe because it's that gig. I have a gig.
You have two shows?
I have two. I think I have a gig on it. Let me see. But anyway, I'll spend a whole bunch of time on this because I think this stuff is fascinating.
Tema says that's the whole issue. The comet isn't mathing correctly. The mass is wrong. The trajectory is wrong. The chemistry is wrong.
Okay, now when you say wrong, you mean it's doing the things that don't fit the profile of a comet.
I assume that's what
Tema
means.
Well, for y'all, what do you speculate? What could it be? Is it so it doesn't fit the profile of a comet? Does it? Can that just mean that it is?
She says it doesn't fit any other comet we have ever seen.
Is it some kind of planetoid? Is it a stray asteroid from another? Is it coming from what do they call that? What's the Kuiper? Is it something that came in from the Kuiper belt? You know, a lot of what's in that might, you know, that something that might have gotten thrown at us from there.
She says maybe interdimensional beings known as the sons of God. She also brought up wormwood.
There you go. There's another. I think that's what we were talking about just a moment ago, like the angel that stands in the sun, and an angel that's going to throw a rock at the earth. I think the rock was called wormwood. That might be a little bit of chopping up of scripture that might not be totally accurate, but you know, we know that these things are mentioned in the Bible in some fashion. And I'd have to hey, I'm not one of those nerds that has the Bible memorized word for word. That's really awesome that a person can do that. People do that, man. That's amazing. Let's see. But, all right. Yeah, I think I'll do one more article because we went kind of long on these other things. We gotta go night at some point. How about this one? Hollywood. It would be, probably useful to talk about. Hey, the leaked messages exposing young Republicans. No surprise there. Like I said, y'all, you got a lot of Republicans out there that are giving over it's like they're finding redemption in being racist. They got to redeem themselves.
It's very odd.
Right? The Democrats have been accusing them of being racist and making white people out to be evil, and so now they're going to redeem themselves by being
It's not just
racist.
Racism, though. What I'm seeing is it's major anti-Semitism. These young Republicans is a perfect example. Yes, they went after black people, but they also went after Jews.
Yeah, and then got leaked, I think, because there was a Jew in there.
Yes. Yeah, one of the office holders was Jewish, and he leaked it to Politico, which is a liberal rag outlet. I don't agree with that, but I can't say I don't blame him for being angry.
Yeah. It's
really angry.
Yeah, like I said, it's really disappointing. I didn't sign on for this.
Yeah, they shut down the New York chapter of Young Republicans over this. So,
but and now that's more like it.
Yeah,
that's more like it.
Yep.
And I've said from the get-go, we could have gotten the jump on this a long time ago, y'all. I said for this, like, look, man, you might want to, don't look the other way as far as this stuff goes. And there was a time where Republicans didn't, and then it just somewhere they got lazy. Somewhere got lazy, and it's become a real problem, but I'm glad to see that, this no, we're not standing for this.
Yeah.
Maybe they shut it down. The thing I wonder though is did you shut it down because you got caught? Were you already in the know about this? Something tells me it's like, I don't think that y'all were, there are people who are surrounding this. I don't think it wasn't that you didn't know. I doubt if you guys didn't know. And you got caught, and now you're doing damage control by shutting them down. You know, I hope I'm wrong. But anyway, Hollywood denounces AI-generated actress Tilly Norwood amid entertainment industry decline. So, I think one of the cases that they're making is that, you know, this Tilly Norwood isn't paying like royalties or something like that to.
Yeah, they're arguing she learned to be an actress by looking at actresses.
Oh, so you can't do that? Because a lot of actors and actresses learned how to act by watching other actors and actresses. And you can see how, whether it's musicians or whether it's actors, who they've been inspired or influenced by in their craft.
Yep. Yeah.
Do they owe the people that they were influenced by royalties? You know, or do they have to pay some sort of recompense for that? So anyway, I mean, I don't care. I mean, this is what you get. But as far as, you know, what do you guys think about with AI? This advent of AI basically being, you know, where we're going to just generate actors and stuff like that. One of the things I was thinking about, I thought about this a long time ago. I think one of the things that AI is, and I think this article mentions it also. I think one of the things that AI do is, you know, kind of get rid of a lot of the corruption. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it'll get rid of the Me Too movement. I'm pretty sure that there's some Hollywood actresses that are not happy about Tilly Norwood, who were probably Me Too people. Hey, well, you know, if you got AI actors, hey, no more couch auditions, no more Me Too. You don't have to worry about women being exploited and stuff like that.
No more couch auditions.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, it'll clean things up. You know, in the movie industry. So I guess there's some redeeming value to it. But man, like it's
they're arguing it'll take the human connection out of acting and the entertainment industry as well.
The human connection is you don't need this for that. The human connection is going by the wayside anyway. You know, you go to restaurants and stuff, and you see people in there they'll still be sitting right across from each other, and they're looking at their phones. Human connection is this might be more relatable to them. This new era of how we communicate with each other, how we connect with each other, and stuff like that. This might be right up their alley. But I mean, yeah, but at the same time, I mean, for reals though. Man, we might want to be able to, the connection that really needs to be made, I'm just going to get on my soapbox here for a second. The connection that really needs to be made is with the Lord.
Yeah.
Without that, y'all, the human connection is not going to get any better. You guys are arguing that the human connection needs to be saved by what? By making sure that human beings are the ones making movies? The human connection starts with the Lord. And the further we get away from the Lord, y'all, trust me, the more disconnected we're going to be.
Yes.
Y'all, let me remind y'all that Yeshua, Jesus, he's a Levite. He's a priest. He's our high priest. Okay? He's our high priest, our king, and the embodiment of God. He's God. Right? Now, being that Yeshua is a priest, a Levitical priest, the name Levi, where we get this word Levites, Levitical, Levi, it means connected. That's what it means. Connect, attach, together. That's what it means. He is our human connection. He is our spiritual connection. So if we want to really be connected, y'all, it starts with him. He helps connect us with each other. He is our connection to God himself. So with AI, yeah, it's kind of still kind of clunky. I've seen some pretty sophisticated, generations, y'all. I mean, in a way, it's one of those things that I wrestle with, y'all, because AI it's a precursor. It's one of those things that it's a big heads up to people. It's a big heads up for people. It's like, look, you might want to start reading the scriptures. AI is, you're basically taking an image and you're making it so lifelike. And people are attributing, this confidence in it where it's like you can even assume that you could talk to a person who's been deceased, animate their image and take their mannerisms and let the algorithm learn it and be able to have a conversation and things like that.
Yeah.
That's like technological necromancy, y'all.
Ew.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you're assuming to breathe life into an image and give it ability to speak. That's right out of scripture. And that's why I'm not saying that AI is the Antichrist or anything like that. I'm saying it is one of those things that should be like, dude, that sounds familiar. Let me look in the scriptures so you're not here for the real thing when it happens.
Right.
Now, all that to say, like, I be thinking about AI. It's like, wow, man. And, making AI, I don't know if making AI is as simple as people make it. All you got to do is just download this software. And I mean, that stuff looks like, I don't know. I'm assuming what it looks like. I haven't had the time to do the kind of research,
right, yeah.
To do it. But, in my experience, doing things like that takes like some render farms. Okay, you got to have, a pretty good setup to render that kind of media. So, like, I don't know if I could maybe I could. I don't know. I haven't researched it. But I mean, could I just do that with my laptop? Just give me a drive with a few terabytes on it and, have me a good, video and audio card and just go to work. I don't know if I can do that. That'd be fantastic if I could. But something like that, it's like, look, man, you got to have some serious rendering kit. That's going to be some money, right? But then again, way cheaper than a practical set and a full-on crew and a cast and all that sort of stuff. I mean, when I think about the productions that I want to do, like, Flood Raven and other things that I have on deck that I want to do, it's like, wow, AI makes it sound like, I don't have to worry about, a huge budget and, human resources to butt heads with,
right,
to get it off the ground. Just go ahead and generate some characters. I'd probably be the only live action person in it, So, okay, yeah. But I'm like, I wrestle with it. It's like, Lord, I don't want to be a part of giving rise to this technology that desensitizes people to you.
Yeah.
It's like this kind of stuff that kind of, it like explains things away. Oh, the beast, that's just going to be AI. And, and we're using AI. It's no big deal. It's not some devil or anything like that. Or, I don't want to be a part of that. But at the same time, the word says use what the children of the age are using.
Yeah.
And this is, a technology of the age. And it can be either used for the Lord or against him. Maybe if it can be used for the Lord, we want to get ahead of it.
Yes, we do.
Let's get ahead of it and use this for him. I think some of those things that people are creating, like they'll have like different biblical figures, whether it's Noah or Jesus or Moses, and they're walking around with their selfies or their cell phones,
right,
and taking selfies as they're giving commentary about a certain point in scripture, like where they are. And they're really well done. They look pretty cool.
Yeah, I like those.
So, I mean, yeah, to use it to that effect, I mean, heck yeah. Should we do that? Would I be helping the world in a satanic sense if I were to do that? Or would I be rendering service to the Lord by making use of such technology. I'd like to hear your thoughts, of course, prayerfully. All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And if you found what I'm talking about on here, if it was any useful to you or inspired, and if my apologies if I don't stroke your pride and your anger and stuff like that. That's not what we do here. But if you did hear, some things that made you, some thought-provoking things, some things to consider, and you want to hear more, and you want us to put these things into more creative media, get out there and really compete, in the spiritual war, in the culture war, and of course, that political war thing, right? You want, an ally, somebody's, trying to be on the front lines of the culture war that we're trying to get this going thing. Because y'all ain't got much, really, y'all, we're not representing much on that front, y'all.
Yeah.
There's not much representation there. And, we've been, trying to say for a long time, help us get in there because we're willing, driven, motivated by the Lord to do our part. Hope you guys will help. BronzeSerpentMedia.com, y'all. And hope you become a member. It's free. Won't cost you a dime. Just a couple clicks of your time. And, drop that buck in the bucket. Help keep your bros on the go. Help us grow our enterprise. Because we want to get out there and we want to compete. Not just for popularity or, to be frivolous. We want to do our part, in our service to the Lord. And if you make the Lord first, that's the best way to make America great. That's what we're trying to do. All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much. Y'all have a groovy rest of your evening and a groovy rest of your week. Bye. Where's my bye button? Did it again. Sitting here looking like an idiot. That's not hard for me.